The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. These Best You EXPO talks are recorded in front of a live audience in a live event. We highly recommend that you focus on the message. As they say, what you focus on expands. Enjoy.
My name is Dr. Mark Atkinson, and my intention is to offer you a perspective on human development that will point you towards a way of living in which you conduct yourself and experience yourself with higher levels of ease and well-being and less stress and tension. And what I ask of you when you're with me for the next 45 minutes is you really pay attention and notice any part of you that's taking you outside of your body and somewhere else. Have you noticed how we have that tendency to physically be here, but psychologically we're somewhere else? Something magical happens when we align our biology and psychology together to bring them to the present moment in a way that is open and allowing. And that's for you to discover. To be unlimited is to live from depth. And to live from depth is to be aligned with your true nature. And your true nature is not who you think you are. So in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to unpack that a little bit in your own experience. So the way I teach is through experience. It has to be through experience. Because otherwise what happens is we become passive recipients of information, then guess what? They just go in through the brain and out again. So when I share this with you, I'm going to invite you to sense into what's going on in your body as I share this with you. Not so much to think about it, but to start sensing what's happening in your body. So here's the perspective on human development. What if it was possible that the reason we were placed on planet Earth was to wake up to reality and to gift this segment of reality in front of us our full undivided attention in a way in which we infuse our reality with the gifts offered by our heart? Which means is, as you go throughout your life, have you noticed there's always a segment of reality in front of you? There's always a segment, and it's unique to you. No one else on this planet has the same segment of reality than you do. You are, ladies and gentlemen, and this is for you to work out whether it's true, the custodians of that segment of reality. It is your responsibility, and your responsibility and invitation is to enrich it with your consciousness and your attention in a way that is open, allowing, and accepting. That's not for you to believe, it's for you to experience and see what happens when you do that. So as you go about your life, for the entirety of the rest of your life, pay attention to the unfolding moments in front of you and gift it your full attention. Now, you may have also noticed that we've been gifted this thing called a body-mind vehicle. So the body-mind vehicle was gifted to you for the duration you're here on planet Earth, and your job is to take great care of it. It's yours. It's a gift. It's a gift from life. And your job is to take really great care of it. So we have to take care of our biology and our psychology so that we can create a vehicle that serves the whole, and the whole is just life. So we've got a busy time ahead of us, right? We've got to take care of our body. We're going to learn how to use your mind. If you don't know how to use your mind, by the way, your mind's using you. Have you ever noticed that? There's a lot of stuff that goes on in your inner subjective experience that doesn't feel so good, that doesn't serve you, doesn't serve the present moment, doesn't serve reality. If you're not in charge of your mind's in charge of you. And that's a problem because most people's minds are conditioned by the past and by society. And it turns out that so many of us live in a virtual reality. Can you imagine waking up one morning and looking around you, and every person you see has a virtual reality headset on and a set of headphones? Everyone's got it. They're all living in this virtual reality, but you're not. And they're walking around. They can physically sense their environment, But when you stand in front of them, you sense they're not with you, right? Because, of course, they're not with you. They're in their virtual reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, most of us go throughout our entire life living within a virtual reality. We're not here in reality. What is reality? Reality is everything that exists apart from the thought stream that arises through awareness. Have you noticed that within inside of you is a ever-present thought stream, mind stream, a perpetual ongoing arising of thoughts and ideas and stories and narratives? You are not that. But we are mesmerized by that. It's kind of like standing in front of a TV screen day after day, thinking that whatever shows up on that TV screen is you. And the worst thing is, we plug ourselves into that TV screen and everything that is said, we think is us. The deeper purpose of self-help is self-knowledge. And self-knowledge, to know thyself, is the way to freedom. And so what we can do is we can upgrade the programs and change the channels on our TV or our virtual headset, or we can unplug and go about our life in reality. So a lot of self-help is profoundly important. It improves the quality of our lives. It improves the quality of our functioning. But let's not think that self-help is the solution to freedom, because it's not. It's a stepping stone to freedom. So we want to be able to learn how to work with our body, mind, in skillful ways. Absolutely. We want to know how to program ourselves in more functional ways that serve us, serve reality. Absolutely. But also, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to unhook yourself from the virtual reality unit that's strapped around your head. Now, I'm going to run a diagnostic scan with you. I'm going to help you discover for yourselves whether you live within this virtual reality. It's really easy, so listen carefully. Pay attention to this. Anytime you experience yourself as being separate from life, you have entered into your virtual reality. You have placed your virtual reality headset on. And have you noticed that when you're in your head, you ain't present. You're listening to Radio Me. So, when you perceive reality from your head, notice how you experience yourself as being separate, correct? You judge what you see, and you notice a sense of insufficiency, that something is wrong inside of you. That agitation creates distraction and a desire to anesthetize yourself. When you live and perceive reality from the head, there is a hole in the soul that we attempt to fill with distractions, with addictions, with pursuit, with success, with power, with wealth, and it's like living like a hungry ghost. It's insatiable. The solution is to unplug yourself from the virtual reality. How do we do that? So I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to lay it all out, so pay close attention to this. The first thing is we have to realize we are living within this mind-made prison. We constructed in childhood a psychic firewall designed to protect us and get us through childhood. We all emerge from childhood with this psychic firewall around us. But what served us in childhood now becomes our source of limitation in adulthood. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that anytime you're emotionally triggered or activated, in that moment, ask yourself, how old am I? Guess what? You've emotionally regressed. You've gone back to being a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old. Who else does that? Anyone else notice they emotionally regress when they get activated? So we emerge into adulthood surrounded by this psychic firewall that creates a perceptual artifact of separation from life. And as we perceive through this psychic firewall, and we experience this ongoing sense of insufficiency, we know in our soul that something is not right. Anyone else intuited that something is not right? So what is it we're looking for? What you seek is who you are, and who you are is to be discovered when you learn how to step out of the psychic firewall, which, by the way, is called the ego, back into reality again. So to be unlimited is to come from depth, and who you are is the depth. And so I want to point you to that as in your experience, okay? So that's where we come from, and I want to take you on a little journey to where I want to take you to. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to close your eyes and enjoy what I'm about to guide you through. This is a process to experientially put you into a state of aware presence which most closely approximates to the truth of who you are. Now, the golden rule with everything I teach is there should never be any effort or trying. There should be no perfectionism in the mix. There should be no tension as you do this. You do it with open curiosity and a smile on the inside. That's really important. Okay, here you go. Close your eyes. And I simply want you to follow my instructions. And you're going to repeat the instructions once in your head whilst following it. Here we go. I am aware of the air flowing in and out of my nose. So becoming aware of the air flowing in and out of your nose. I am aware of the air flowing in and out of my mouth. I am aware of the sensations in and around my chest. I'm aware of the sensations in and around my abdomen. I am aware of the sensations in and around my pelvis. I'm aware of the sensations in and around my legs. I am aware of my whole body. I expand as aware presence. Now, whilst keeping your focus in your whole body, keeping attuned to the presence that some of you will now be experiencing, and whatever your experience is, just welcome that, be okay. Gently open your eyes, but this time be attuned to your whole body and the sense of aware presence. Do you feel more here? More grounded, more centered? Anyone experience a sense of openness, expansion? This, ladies and gentlemen, is who you are. And so the invitation is to live from this. But we don't, and there's a number of reasons we don't. The number one reason we don't is that we habitually identify with our ego. Listen carefully, the ego is just simply a survival-based mental construct created by programming inherited through your society and your cultural conditioning and your experiences from the past. It's just programming arising. Have you noticed it churns out the same stuff time and time again? So the first thing in this transition from not self to self is to realize that any time you notice a voice in your head, mental commentary. Anyone here has mental commentary? Right? That's not you. It's not you. It's nothing to do with you. It just feels like it's something to do with you when you grab onto it and believe what it's telling you. That would be like me looking at a TV screen, plugging my headset in, listening to some random person comment on who I am, and I believe every single word they say. It's insane. The journey to true self is a return to sanity again. So the first thing is to stop believing anything your head tells you. And of course, at one level, that sounds crazy. What are you talking about? Are you telling me, it's like, how can I function if I don't believe what my head tells me? Well, that's for you to discover, because you're going to realize something, which is life has been running the show all the time. You just thought you were in control. You just thought you were in charge. Are you kidding me? The profound arrogance of that. Your life is not your life. Your life belongs to life. Life has gifted you this opportunity to initially experience yourself as separate from life with the very strict instructions that at some time on your time here on planet Earth, you'll wake up to it, the homing beacon will go off, and your heart will start drawing you in mysterious and inexplicable ways to people, places, events, and books and experiences that point towards a deeper truth and reality. So right now, millions of people worldwide are waking up to this inner calling.
If you're interested in sharing your story, sharing your dreams, sharing your ideas in the largest personal development platform, the Best You EXPO, Sign up today. Go to www.thebestyouexpo.com or send an email to info@thebestyou.co.
And the most important thing you can do, and here's one of the things I offer you, is to sincerely commit to just simply knowing the truth, to knowing reality. Because you see, a very important, profound thing happens when we do that. When we sincerely commit to knowing the truth, to knowing reality, everything starts getting into alignment. Everything gets to alignment. When you wake up in the morning, here's a gift, here's an offering. First thing I invite you to do, rather than go up to your head to have a good old think, is actually to keep in your body, using that process that I just offered you to bring yourself into your body, and to tune into your heart's deepest commitment for you. And don't try and figure out what it is. Here's how you do it. When you get time later on, come into your body like I showed you before and ask your heart, like dropping a question into a pond, what would you have me be committed to? And what you'll find is that it will come back with something like truth or love or reality or service. Because you see, it's like, your life's not your life. You're here for a purpose, and the purpose is to serve the whole. Can you imagine if we're all part of a football team, but we're under them, but we didn't appreciate that, and so I give the ball to you, and you just do your own thing with the ball? No, we need to work together as aspects of the whole to serve the whole. Well, what are we serving? Whatever's in front of you. Oh, okay, so what's my life purpose? To serve what's in front of you with your full attention in the open-hearted way. So here's the other thing. So already we're starting to discover is that you're not who you think you are, and that most of us spend most of our life living an experience behind this psychic firewall created in childhood, designed to keep us safe, but now in adulthood limits us, correct? And the diagnosis of that is you will feel separate from life, and you will at times feel not good enough, and that you do not have enough. It is the hungry ghost. Most of us are misidentified with the hungry ghost, right? Anyone else experience that? Okay, we've also figured out that there's another way of being in the world. We had maybe a little taste of it when we systematically came into our body, when we aligned with aware presence. But it requires more than that. It requires more than a sincere commitment to know truth. We have to do this other extraordinary thing called we have to face reality. For truth is in reality, and it means that we have to turn to those areas of our life that we know we're not facing. So if you have addictions running in the background, that's where you go. If you have problems in your relationship, that's where you go. If you have financial problems, that's where you go. Now, the reason we don't go there is because it feels so uncomfortable to go there, correct? So the next thing I have to teach you is how to welcome and work with your subjective experience. Have you noticed in any given moment that you're awake, you have an inner subjective experience, right? And that subjective experience consists of thoughts, body sensations, and emotions. Here's the golden rule. Whatever arises within you, welcome that. Fear arises, welcome that. The inner critic arises, welcome that. Anyone here has an inner critic? Here's what you do with the inner critic. Next time the inner critic comes up, in the moment of noticing the inner critic is there, smile on the inside, notice where it is inside of your body, it's normally around the head, and say to it silently, I see you, I accept you. And you just say it once, and you hold your gaze. And what you're going to discover is that its power over you will diminish. It relaxes. Comes up again, consistency of response. I see you, I accept you. And then when you do this repeatedly for a day or two, an astonishing thing happens. The inner critic, which was created in childhood to protect you and keep you small, auto upgrades into healthy discernment. What that means is it now does monitor your behavior, but it provides feedback through not shaming and inner criticism, but by simply stating what happened. That's healthy discernment. So when we learn how to welcome and work with our interior state, we actually start dropping more into presence. And here's the thing. As we welcome everything, our bandwidth of experience starts to expand. So most of us live within a very contracted bandwidth of experience, which means we only do like excitement and fear. Some of us only do anxiety. Some of us only do happiness, but definitely not sadness or anger. And so the path to reality is to welcome it all unconditionally. We can't favor whatever arises. Whatever is arising within you is arising within you. It is the arising of life. And so to go to war with life is to take an anti-life stance, which puts you straight back into ego. So whatever arises inside of you, whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's gratitude, whether it's love, we welcome it all. How many people here struggle to welcome love and appreciation, right? So here's the practice. So when someone is being appreciative of you, breathe deeply, receive it, and allow it to flow through you. Now, what normally happens is that when someone appreciates us, we actually have this invisible energetic wall in front of us to bounce it right back. Because at some stage, we learn to not trust love. Same for most of us. And so here's the practice. Next time someone offers you a compliment or looks you directly in the eyes, lovingly, breathe it in and just sense this kind of barrier you've erected in front of you and create a little hole inside of it. And what will happen is the energy of that will flow into your body and it will then hit your body and a tension will arise. Welcome that. Welcome the tension. I see you. I accept you, and allow it to flow through you. And what's going to happen is you are going to start restoring the flow of life and love through your body. Because what's happened is we have set up a list of conditional rules of what we will allow to flow through our experience. As we move back to reality and into life, because we've been called to do that, we welcome it all. So here's the invitation. As you go through about your day, live your life, use your life's challenges as the way to wake up to reality, and monitor as you go throughout the day your level of somatic tension. And you'll start to notice, it's like, wow, when I'm with this person, or thinking this thought, a lot of tension comes up inside of me. In the moment of noticing that, smile, say to it silently, I see you. I accept you. Notice how the body relaxes when we align with reality. Get a sense of where that energy wants to flow to, either be up or down the body, and allow it to move out fully. Allow it to move out fully. And amazingly, and this is, ladies and gentlemen, called surrender or letting go, it means that we can be fully engaged in life, and life literally comes through our senses, moves through our body as a flow of energy and information, and then moves back out again. And our job is to get out of the way. Our job is to get out of the way. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to plead to you, if you hear one thing today, is to practice what I'm about to tell you. Because this is not just for you, it's for the people that you share your life with. Anytime you are with another human being, perceiving them through your head, i.e. caught up in your thinking, you're not with them, you're with yourself, right? So remember, when you perceive through your head, you've got your virtual reality headset on and you've got your headphones on. You're no good to no one. And you know that when you're with someone, because like they're talking to you, and where are you? You're somewhere else. Or you're thinking what you're going to say, or you're just waiting for them to stop. So here is the most courteous thing you can do for them and for you. And it's called centering practice. So listen carefully. It's one of the core foundational BLM practices. As you go throughout the day, anytime you're in an unhelpful story, an unhelpful story is a story that is unhelpful and does not serve you, does not serve the present moment. Anytime in a helpful story, smile and then do this. And as I provide these instructions, do them with me. You're going to count down from 5 whilst breathing into and softening and relaxing your lower abdomen. So it's going to be 5, 4, breathing in and softening your lower abdomen. 3, 2, 1. If it helps, keep your eyes closed, keeping your relaxed focus in your lower belly. And for those of you who've gone back up to your head, just smile. Don't make a problem of it and just count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe into your lower belly. Keep your focus there. Now keep your focus there, and if it helps, have your hand there. And then without going back up to your head, open your eyes gently, but keep your focus in your lower belly. What have you noticed? Have any of you noticed how your mind chatter's gone down? Right? Mental chatter's gone down. Have you noticed that you're so much more grounded and centered in your body? So much more in the present moment? Welcome to you. This is who you are. We were never, ever supposed to be living from our head. The head is a tool gifted to us to navigate life. The purpose of the head is to reflect and analyze and plan. So what happens for the majority of the human race is we wake up in the morning, we go straight up to the head, and that's where we are for the whole entire day. And we use the head for everything. That's just unskillful living, because the head isn't supposed to be used for everything. You cannot be intimate with another human being. You cannot see reality or see into another human being through the head, because all you can see is your thoughts and stories about them, right? Anyone notice that? So here's what you do. Here's the experiment. So when you go home today and you're with someone that you care about, first of all, as an experiment, see them from the head, and notice that when you look from the head, judgments pretty much come up straight away, right? Judgments of them, judgments of you. Here's the experiment. Now you're just going to center yourself in your lower belly, count down from 5, and then look from there. And amazing things happen. The outer wrapper of what you look at dissolves, and it reveals mutuality, the we-ness. It reveals simply this without label. And so it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that we have been living as our default in completely the wrong place. That is called being egocentric. When we learn how to access aware presence, which is who you are, through the portal of the lower belly and then beyond there into the heart, we start perceiving clearly. We start perceiving and relating to reality clearly. And then when you perceive from here, you see the essence of what it is you're looking at. So you're going to try this out with other people, right? And there's a fun thing. Go back up to your head again and look at them now. And then you decide where you want to be. And please, if you have children, look at your children from presence, not from the head. All children want, all human beings want, is to be seen and to be felt fully by the caring eyes of those people they're surrounded by. You can't do that from the head, because you're not looking at them from the head. So the greatest gift you can give is your quality of consciousness. And you are the masters of your quality of consciousness according to where you base your attention and place your attention. There are 3 fundamental places to base your attention: in your head, in your heart, and in your belly. I'm taking it straight to the belly because that's the easiest one to get into. Okay? So we need to know that. You need to ask yourself, where am I right now? Am I in my head, in my heart, in my belly? Where do I want to be? You notice how we now have choice. So we're now choosing how we're showing up. So if I need to sit down and plan something, I will go up to my head to use my head. When I finish, I'll come back down into my centered presence. If I want to really connect with others, I'll go to my heart and relate from there. And so the practice I offer you is to start choosing where you want to be. Okay. I want to teach you some other ways of accessing aware presence. So just to recap, who you are is not who you think you are. What you seek is beyond what you think you are. The goal of being limited is to point you towards home, to yourself. It's self-remembering. And if there was one wish I had for the entirety of the rest of your life, is to stop believing and indulging the ever-present thought stream moving through awareness. Just stop the whole thing. You're not going to disintegrate. You're not going to explode. Your house isn't going to go on fire. And is it just possible that there is this thing called life? You know, life, this thing that creates and animates the entire universe, and creates and animates you. What would happen if you just trusted that? I wonder. So when you find out, here's how you do it. Rather than going through life and saying, what do I want from life? What do I want to make from my life? Now you just say, life, what would you have me do? Life, who would you have me become? So I did that about 6 years ago, because things weren't working out for me. It's like I had this whole laundry list of things I thought I should be doing. I let go of the whole thing and just said, life, what do you want me to do? Within a year, I was with my wife and my children in Canada, where we never, ever predicted we'd be. We were there for 4 years, just trusting in the flow of life. And it worked out unbelievably well for us. And so it turns out that if you let your hands off the steering wheel, life is going to drive you. Your job is to take great care of this body-mind you've been gifted by life, right? Because remember, your life is not your life. It belongs to life. Your job is to align with the will of life. That's called thy will be done, by the way. And what's going to happen is you're going to flip-flop between the two.
If you're interested in speaking, exhibiting, or getting involved in the largest personal development expos in the world, contact us today at www.thebestyouexpo.com or send us an email to info@thebestyou.co.
So now what I want to do is I want to explain how this all fits into the world of self-help and personal development. We've got to get really, really clear about this. And a lot of people find this very helpful. So listen really carefully. We're in the last kind of 10 minutes or so. So I want to just explain a practical model for what it is I'm offering here, so you get this. Imagine there are 4 separate islands. Island 1, 2, 3, 4. For our purposes, these are 4 stages of consciousness development. Island 1 is the island of victim consciousness. Island 2 is victor consciousness. So everyone around here is in victor consciousness. I can make my life happen. I can make a difference. Island 3, listen carefully, is vessel consciousness. You become a vessel for life. And island 4 is verity consciousness. And verity means truth. You just surrender deeply to truth, okay? Most of us start out in island 1 in victim consciousness. We know we're in island 1 because we spend a lot of time complaining and blaming. We act and live as though there's nothing we can do. And we blame everyone else. And we blame the government and Donald Trump for everything that's going wrong. We remain in blame. That's where about 90% of the world's population live in. It is the collective unconscious. It's deeply unconscious. When you live on island 1, you are in and believe everything that comes through your head. You're in the thought stream. You're in the mind stream. You are deeply embedded deep down in the egoic sense of self, right? You think you are what you think. Now, most of us have started there. Now, what happens is most people make the transition from island 1 to island 2 because things ain't working out well in island 1. And it's normally pain or suffering, and we suffer so much, and we have such significant loss of some sort, we stumble our way to island 2 because it turns out there is a bridge from island 1 to island 2, and we kind of surrounded by others just stumbling their way across to island 2. Well, island 2 is the world of self-help. It's the world of psychotherapy. It's the world of 12-step addiction recovery. And so when things don't work out that well on island 1, and we can be very successful in terms of business and wealth, but deeply unsuccessful in love and with health and relationships, when things don't work out, some of us are drawn across this bridge in inexplicable ways into Island 2. And Island 2 is the place of self-empowerment. It's the place of self-help. And if you're fortunate enough and you've been suffering from addictions in Island 1, you find, listen carefully, the refugee camp of the 12-step movement. It's a refugee camp. It's an open-hearted place that welcomes you in, and you enter in battered and bruised. You're on your knees because you've been doing your goddamn best, but it hasn't worked. And so you find others who have traversed and found their way across from Island 1 to Island 2. And so Island 2 is a welcome place. It's a place generally of positivity. It's a place of possibility. It's where you learn self-mastery. It's where you learn self-help. You start adopting the attitude that I can make it happen, that I create my reality, that I can feel better. It's like, it's my job to take care of myself, and I can do it. And I'm going to hang out with others who do it, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Okay? It's an exciting time. But eventually, after languishing in this area for a bit, you still sense there's more. There's a call to depth. Because this Island 1 and Island 2 can still be at one level very superficial. At one level. There's a call to depth. And so what starts happening is we then start the spiritual search. And the spiritual search is ultimately about coming home to oneself. And so we follow a contemplative pathway or a Buddhist pathway, or for us modern day people, we do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and try that and go on that retreat and do a bit of this, and it's all very good. And we're sensing into, wow, there's something here that keeps bringing me back. Now, the Be Unlimited program I've created provides you with the practices to start building the bridge from Island 2 to Island 3. And these practices are some of the things I've been teaching already. 1, welcoming whatever arises inside of you, welcome that. 2, anytime you're in an unhelpful story, smile and drop yourself by becoming centered. 3, a profound process we go through called shifting, which is I get you to identify, you have a list of 120 core egoic behavioral patterns. And every time you notice them come up, you smile and you shift yourself. Because in any given moment, you either live above or below the line. If you're below the line, you're unconscious. You're not home. You're up in your head, the light's off. Right? You're offline. You know what it's like when you're with someone who's in the head? They're not with you, they're offline. And what they're doing is they're unconsciously reacting from ego. They're predictable, and they're self-centered, and we've all been there, right? And they're in blame, and they're in judgment. And for those of us who've been in the self-help world for a little bit time, one of the core hallmarks of the so-called enlightened ego is superiority. You look around and you judge everyone else who's not doing what you're doing because you're better than them, right? Big spiritual ego. So I actually provide you with a list of all of these behaviors that indicate you're below the line. And then when you notice you're below the line, in the moment of noticing the behavior, you smile, you become centered, and you shift above the line, back into presence. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I've been spending most of my life living below the line, and it's like holding your breath underwater. And you only discover that when you come above the line and start living from there. And then when you go back down again, you don't like it. You notice it. You notice it really quickly, and you gently, lovingly shift your back up again. I teach meditation practices, contemplation practices, and basically what happens is we start to build the bridge across to Island 3. Remember, Island 3 is vessel consciousness. We're moving towards surrender and letting go. Now, at this stage, we've also got to take great care of our body-mind, because remember, you are custodians of the body-mind you've been gifted. A lot of us have a very unhealthy relationship to the body, right? A lot of us do not have loving acceptance of our body or self. So I'm going to be providing practices so you can, in a very short period of time, be wholly accepting and loving of your body. You have to be. You have to know how to manage your energy, because it's all very well to have enlightenment and to be awake and to see clearly, but if you don't have biological energy, then where can you go? Because your job is to serve reality, but you've got a flat battery. That ain't so good. So you have to take great care of your biology, and they teach you how to do that. You see, there's three fundamental sources of energy. There's biological energy, which comes from your mitochondria. There's emotional energy, which comes from being engaged and enthusiastic and living and doing something that has a purpose to you. And then there's what you could call conscious or spiritual energy, which comes with an open heart and when you're living in integrity. So we explore all three of that. So we're going to start building the bridge across to Island 3. But then we're going to make a miraculous discovery. And this is really important for any of you who would draw more into the spiritual path. There comes a time where it's like, despite the practices, you don't go any further. And when you arrive at the halfway mark in that bridge building, you then shift into surrender. You let go. You let go profoundly and repeatedly and somatically. It's like any time there's any grasping or clinging or trying to be all righteousness, you let go of it. In the moments of seeing, you soften around it and you let go of it. You let go of any idea of what your future is about. You let go of any idea of who you think you are. I'm not Mark. I'm not a medical doctor. That's nothing to do with who I am. It makes no sense for me in any way to identify with any of those labels. It just doesn't figure in my reality. And so we have all of these things we're attached to, all of these labels we believe ourselves to be. They're simply not you, and you have to let go of them all lovingly, one moment at a time. And then what you discover is as you start to experience your surrender, life builds the remaining part of the bridge to Island 3. So we only get so far through willfulness, through dedicated practice, and then the rest comes from grace and from life. And then when you get pulled into and relaxed back into life, then there's just the experience of being this, with this body-mind, living life. I mean, the idea I would go into my head to try and figure out my future, it just is nonsensical once you've made a transition. Over here, it makes complete sense, and it's absolutely necessary. It's a developmental step. But let's not think that's the end of the journey. And then eventually, with time, there's a further surrendering and softening, and there's just life living, right? So the reason I offer you that is just my intention is you can just get a sense of where you are. And it's very normal in the early days to flip-flop between victim and victor, right? And we all have those moments. Sometimes we can be in experiences where we very rapidly go into victim consciousness, right? And so what I'm going to ask of you from this moment forward is that any time you notice any negativity or blame arising inside of you, in the moment of noticing, smile, welcome it, I see you, I accept you, and allow it to soften and flow out of you. I call that releasing practice, and I teach you this on Being Limited. Just keep welcoming and letting go. Keep welcoming and letting go. And what's going to start happening is your negativity is going to start going down. Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. It starts going down. And then as you start building these practices, you have to, regrettably, for most of us, live in your integrity. It's non-negotiable. You have to live in your integrity. And what starts happening is you check in. It's like, where am I out of my integrity? What am I not saying that needs to be said? What is unfelt that needs to be felt? What have I committed to that needs to be honored? Right? You have to do that. And then you learn how to soften and then relax into your heart. And then from there, there's just this generous outpouring of intimacy and care for people around you. And you wake up and you realize, wow, it's like there was me thinking that life was against me. Then I'm in charge of life. But actually, life is this benevolent intelligence that is evolving through and around us, orientated to the awakening of the whole. And all it's ever wanted with infinite patience is for me to awaken to that and participate consciously with that and be aligned with that. Now, none of that is for you to believe. It's for you to discover in your own experience. So if you'd like to continue the journey, you can go to beinglimitedtraining.com. It's a 5-week online personal development training program I've created with Dave Asprey, who's the founder of Bulletproof, who is passionately dedicated to the raising of consciousness as well. If you sign up, use the discount code YOURFUTURE. That will give you $100 off the price. We'd love to welcome you into that. And if it resonates with you, I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.